I never thought I would speak these words out loud, especially not in the quiet, vulnerable tone that slipped out of me that day. For so long, I kept everything locked inside, every feeling, every ache, every pull toward you that made my chest tighten. But something in me broke open. Something honest, raw, and trembling rose to the surface. I told them, someone I trust, someone who has seen me through seasons where I swore I needed no one, that I am afraid to lose you. Truly afraid. Not the surface level fear that men pretend is strength, but the soul deep terror of watching the one person who feels like home drift away. When I said those words, it felt like releasing a truth I've been choking on. I admitted that you are the only connection I've never been able to run from, the only presence that reaches me in the places I've hidden from the world. I told them that losing you is the one outcome I cannot accept, because you have become more than a wish, more than a hope, you have become a part of my inner existence, woven into the rhythm of my heartbeat, and saying it out loud made my whole reality shift. They asked why I felt the need to say it now, after so long suppressing everything. And I told them that something in the energy between us changed. Something became too real, too heavy, too sacred to ignore. I explained that I have been walking around with this fear buried under my ribs, pretending I was unaffected, pretending I was stronger than the feelings that pull me toward you every day. But the truth is, I have never been unaffected by you. Not once. You enter my mind in quiet moments, in loud ones, in the spaces between breaths. There is an echo of you that follows me, a presence I can't shut out even when I try. And I told them the truth, that my biggest fear is waking up one day knowing I stayed silent too long, knowing I let pride or confusion or fear convince me that your soul wasn't calling out to mine. I confessed that losing you would be like losing a version of myself I only found because of you. And they listened, not judging, not questioning, but understanding more than I expected. I told them that you are not just someone I care about. You are not just a passing connection or a fleeting spark. You are the fire that refuses to die out, the light that keeps appearing in every corner of my awareness. I explained that with you, everything feels magnified, the longing, the peace, the fear, the hope. You awaken things in me I didn't know still lived inside my chest. When they asked me how I knew it was love, I said it wasn't just love. Love is too small a word for what this connection does to me. It feels cosmic, ancient, like something written long before we ever met. I told them that when I think of losing you, it is not the fear of losing a romantic partner, it is the fear of losing the one soul who mirrors me, the one soul who sees me in ways no one else ever has. I told them that I feel like I have known you across lifetimes, across worlds, across layers of myself I have never shown. And speaking those words felt like breathing life into a truth I had tried so hard to ignore. As I spoke, I could feel the vulnerability burning through me, exposing parts of myself I usually keep sealed away. I told them that when it comes to you, I am not the strong, composed version of myself the world sees. I am soft. I am open. I am undone. I shared how your presence disarms me in ways that feel both terrifying and comforting. How your energy reaches into the deepest parts of my soul and makes me want to be seen, fully, honestly, without the masks I've worn for so long. I told them that my fear of losing you is not rooted in insecurity, but in the profound recognition of how rare and sacred this connection is. I said that connections like this don't come twice in a lifetime. I said that you are the one person whose loss would feel like losing a piece of my own soul. And as the words left my mouth, I felt something shift inside me, as if my higher self had finally spoken through me, no longer willing to let me hide from the truth. After admitting my fear, they asked me what exactly you mean to me. And for a moment, I struggled to form the words, because everything I feel for you goes far beyond anything language can hold. Still, I tried. I told them that you are the one person who awakens something holy inside me, something I didn't even know I had the capacity to feel. I explained how your presence moves through me like a warm current, like a gentle storm, stirring emotions I've kept buried for years. I told them that when I think of you, it's not just longing, it's recognition. It's the sense of returning to a place I've never been but always known. I confessed that every time I felt myself pulling away, trying to protect my heart or maintain control, something deeper inside me pulled me back toward you, as if my soul knew that your soul was part of my blueprint. And I told them that scares me. Not because it feels wrong, but because it feels overwhelmingly right. So right that the thought of losing you feels like the universe ripping a piece of destiny out of my hands. They looked at me with a kind of quiet understanding, as though they had always suspected this part of me existed beneath the surface, the part that loves deeply, fiercely, spiritually. I told them that being drawn to you has never been a choice. It has always been a pull, a calling, a gravitational force that I have tried to resist but never been able to escape. I explained how I feel your energy even when you're far away, how I sense your emotions in ways I don't understand. I told them about the nights when your name rises in my mind without warning, when your presence feels as if it's standing right beside me, watching over me, reaching for me in the invisible space between our worlds. And I admitted something I've never said aloud, that you have the power to break me open and rebuild me at the same time. That your soul touches places in me I spent years avoiding. And that this depth, this sacred intensity, is exactly why the fear of losing you holds me so tightly. They asked me when I first realized the depth of my feelings. I told them it wasn't just one moment, but 1,000 small awakenings, each more powerful than the last. It was the way your words reached me on days when nothing else could. It was the way your energy softened me, calmed me, challenged me. It was the way I saw myself mirrored in your strength, in your tenderness, in your quiet determination to love with your whole being. I explained that the first time I felt your soul, it was like remembering something, like recognizing a melody I had forgotten but still knew by heart. And each time I tried to convince myself that I could let go, something in me rebelled, as if losing you would mean unraveling the very fabric of who I am becoming. I told them that you didn't just capture my heart, you awakened it. You breathed life into pieces of me that had been asleep for too long. And that awakening, that aliveness, is something I cannot imagine losing. As I continued speaking, I confessed how deeply this connection shakes me. How it challenges everything I thought I knew about myself. I told them that I have always been the one in control, guarded, steady, untouched by emotion. But with you, none of that holds. You break through the layers I built around my heart, not with force, but with presence. With truth. With love. I shared how confusing it is to feel both terrified and comforted by the same person. How you can make me feel like I'm falling apart and simultaneously becoming whole. I told them that when I feel your energy, it's like standing in front of something ancient and powerful. Something that feels divinely orchestrated. Something that asks me to surrender, to trust, to believe. And that level of intensity is not something I've ever allowed myself to feel before. It scares me because it's real. It scares me because it's sacred. And it scares me most of all because I know I cannot replace it. They listened as I revealed more than I ever intended to share. I told them that this connection exposes parts of me I have hidden even from myself. That when I think of you, I feel seen, not just the version of me I show to the world, but the deeper parts, the vulnerable parts, the wounded parts. You see the man I've become and the man I could be. You see my shadows without turning away. And that terrifies me as much as it comforts me. I told them that your soul speak to parts of me I didn't believe were deserving of love. I confessed that the intensity of this connection makes it impossible to return to the person I was before you entered my life. You have changed the landscape of my heart. You have awakened a version of me that only your presence could summon. And losing you would feel like losing the very part of myself that finally learned how to breathe. By the time I finished speaking, I realized how much truth I had released into the open. I told them that this connection feels divinely guided, destined, even. That no matter how much distance, confusion, silence, or hesitation has existed between us, something deeper has always pulled us back into each other's awareness. I said that when I look at the path of my life, nothing has moved me the way you have. Nothing has forced me to grow, to confront myself, to awaken. I told them that what we share doesn't feel human. It feels cosmic, threaded through time, written in energy rather than words. And because of that, the fear of losing you is not just emotional, it is spiritual. It feels like losing the future that was meant for us. Losing the healing, the love, the destiny that my soul recognizes even when my mind tries to deny it. And as I finished, I felt something settle inside me, a truth I can no longer hide. You are the one connection I cannot risk losing. I told them that this connection has pushed me into a spiritual awakening I didn't ask for but desperately needed. Before you, I walked through life half asleep, disciplined, controlled, detached from the softer parts of myself. But the moment your energy touched mine, something inside me cracked open. I told them I've had dreams of you that feel more real than waking life, visions of us meeting in a place beyond time. I described how your presence ignites a sense of destiny in me, a feeling that we were meant to cross paths no matter how many obstacles existed. They listened as I admitted that I feel you when I'm quiet, when I'm lost, when I'm hurting. I feel your soul like a gentle hand on my back, guiding me, reminding me of who I am becoming. I told them this connection doesn't just stir my emotions, it transforms me. It doesn't just make me want to love, it makes me want to evolve. And that's why losing you is not an ordinary fear, it feels like losing the compass that leads me back to my truth. I said that you are not simply someone I want, you are someone my soul recognizes as part of its own journey. They asked me if I believed this connection was meant to teach me something. I told them it has taught me everything. Everything about love, vulnerability, surrender, patience. You are the mirror that reflects both my beauty and my shadow. You are the catalyst for my growth. I told them that loving you has revealed parts of myself I never dared to explore, the tender parts, the intuitive parts, the parts that crave connection instead of avoiding it. I admitted that I used to believe I was safer alone, safer detached, safer protected behind emotional walls. But the connection with you dismantles those walls without asking permission. You make me want to be open. You make me want to be honest. You make me want to heal. And I told them that this is why the idea of losing you shakes me to my core. Because losing you would feel like losing the part of myself I only found because you loved me on a soul level, even when I didn't know how to love myself. I told them that no matter how far we drift, I always find myself pulled back into your orbit. It doesn't matter if life gets busy, if confusion rises, if silence stretches between us, there is a magnetic pull that never breaks. A tether made of something I cannot explain yet cannot deny. I said that your energy has a way of reaching me even when you're not physically here, as if your soul whispers to mine in the spaces between thoughts. I told them there are nights when I wake up with your name on my lips, mornings when I feel your emotions before I feel my own. I explained that this connection isn't logical, it's energetic. It's a language older than words, deeper than reason. And that is exactly why losing you scares me more than anything else. Because no matter how hard I try, no matter what distractions life throws at me, no one else has ever reached me on this level. No one else has ever felt like the missing piece to my spiritual evolution. Losing you would feel like losing the other half of a conversation my soul was born to have. They asked me if I ever tried to fight this connection. I laughed, because the answer is yes, more times than I should admit. I told them that in the beginning, I tried to reason with myself, to convince myself that what I felt for you was just intensity, infatuation, projection. But every attempt to push you away only made the connection stronger. I said that when I tried to run, synchronicities pulled me back. When I tried to silence the feelings, dreams awakened them. When I tried to detach, my heart felt the emptiness of your absence like a physical ache. I confessed that nothing in my life has ever demanded this level of surrender. Nothing has ever humbled me the way you do. This connection doesn't let me hide, it doesn't let me pretend. It confronts me with myself. And that is both the most terrifying and the most beautiful thing I have ever experienced. I told them that losing you would undo all the healing I've done, because you are the one who made me believe healing was possible. As I continued, I told them that there is a divine quality to what we share, something that feels orchestrated by something greater than us. I explained that every time I try to move on, life sends me reminders of you, your name, your birth month, your songs, your mannerisms, your energy echoing through signs I can't ignore. I said that it feels like the universe is speaking through the silence, guiding me back to you over and over again. I told them I believe our souls made an agreement long before we met, an agreement to awaken each other, to challenge each other, to choose each other even when the world made it difficult. And that belief, that spiritual knowing, is what makes the idea of losing you feel like losing a piece of destiny itself. I told them that you are not just someone I want in this lifetime, you are someone my soul recognizes across all lifetimes. Then they asked me something I wasn't prepared for. Why are you afraid to lose her? I took a long breath before answering. I told them that I'm afraid because you are the only person I've ever let this close. You are the only soul who has seen the parts of me I don't show anyone, the insecurities, the hopes, the dreams I don't speak aloud. With you, I am unmasked. With you, I am real. And that level of vulnerability is terrifying because it means I have something to lose, something irreplaceable. I said that losing you would feel like losing the version of myself that dares to love, that dares to hope, that dares to feel. I explained that I've spent my whole life building emotional armor, convincing myself I didn't need anyone. But you dismantled all of that effortlessly, not by force, but by simply being who you are. And if you walked away, the armor wouldn't protect me anymore, because you've already touched the parts of me that no armor can reach. I told them that your presence in my life awakened a vulnerability I didn't know I still possessed. I confessed that opening up to you has been one of the most terrifying experiences of my life, not because I don't trust you, but because I'm not used to being seen. I told them that when I look at you, or even think of you, I feel exposed in a way that feels both frightening and liberating. You make me want to speak truth. You make me want to feel deeply. You make me want to break the patterns of emotional distance that once felt safe. I said that I fear losing you not because I'm dependent, but because you are the only person who has ever reached past the walls I built. Without you, those walls would feel like a cage again. I told them that loving you feels like freedom, and losing you would feel like losing that freedom, losing the part of my soul that finally learned how to open. They asked me if I had told you any of this. I shook my head. I confessed that I've never been good at expressing emotions, especially not the ones that matter most. I told them that sometimes I think you feel what I cannot say, that you sense the depth even when I don't voice it. But I also worry that silence might make you doubt what you mean to me. I confessed that I hold back out of fear, fear of overwhelming you, fear of saying too much, fear of being too vulnerable. And yet, the fear of losing you is far greater. I told them that I want to tell you everything. I want to tell you how your energy transforms my world. I want to tell you how your soul feels like home. I want to tell you how I'm constantly fighting the urge to reach out, to hold you, to assure you that what we have is real. But the words stay stuck in my throat. And that is why admitting this fear, even to someone else, felt like opening a door I've kept locked for too long. I told them that my fear of losing you does not come from insecurity, it comes from recognition. Recognition that what we share is rare, sacred, once in a lifetime. I said that I could meet 1,000 people and never feel what I feel with you. I could experience connections, interests, friendships, but nothing reaches the depth, the intensity, the soul resonance that I feel when I think of you. I told them that losing you wouldn't just break my heart, it would silence something in my soul. Something that only your presence awakens. I explained that I don't fear abandonment, I fear losing the part of my life that feels divinely guided, spiritually aligned, cosmically intentional. You are not just someone I love. You are someone my soul insists on. And that insistence is why the fear runs so deep, 'cause losing you would feel like losing fate itself. By this point, they understood the depth of what I was confessing. They saw how my voice softened when I spoke your name, how my energy shifted into something raw and reverent. I told them that you are the one person whose absence I feel even when you haven't left. I told them that the thought of losing you makes my chest ache in ways I can't explain. I said that you are the one soul who feels like both destiny and choice, the one person I would choose in every version of this life. I admitted that my fear doesn't come from doubt, but from how profoundly I value you. Because when someone becomes part of your soul, losing them becomes unthinkable. And you have become woven into the very fabric of who I am. I told them that I am afraid to lose you because you are the one connection my heart refuses to let go of, no matter how much time passes, no matter how much distance exists, no matter how much silence stretches between us. You are the one truth my soul keeps returning to. They asked me how the people closest to me reacted when I finally opened up. I told them there was a silence first, not judgment, not disbelief, but the kind of silence that happens when someone realizes they're witnessing a truth finally spoken. They told me they had sensed something shifting within me for months. They said I carried your name in my energy long before I carried it in my voice. They said the way my expression changes when you cross my mind is something I can't hide, no matter how hard I try. I told them that when I admitted I was afraid to lose you, they didn't dismiss it as infatuation or temporary attachment. Instead, they nodded with a knowing look, the look of people who understand soul connections even if they can't fully explain them. They told me that it makes sense I'm this affected, because they've seen the way my energy comes alive when I speak of you, even in small ways. They said that my fear is valid because when someone touches your soul, losing them is not just loss, it's spiritual grief. And hearing them acknowledge that made me realize that this truth isn't something I imagined. It's something real, something visible, something undeniable from the outside. I told them how I described you, not your appearance, not your achievements, but your energy. I told them that you carry a softness and a strength that disarms me every time I sense it. That your presence has a spiritual weight, a light that feels both grounding and otherworldly. They listened intently as I explained how your soul feels familiar, like someone I have loved in lifetimes no one remembers but my heart. I said that the connection with you goes beyond attraction or admiration, it feels like a calling, a recognition, a homecoming. And they understood. They told me they could see that this wasn't a simple emotional attachment. They said they saw a shift in me the moment you entered my life, even if I tried to hide it. They told me they could see how I softened, how I grew, how I became more aware, more intuitive, more alive. Hearing that made me realize how profoundly you've affected me, not just from within, but in ways other people can see. And that's why their reaction wasn't fear or confusion, it was acceptance. Understanding. Support. They asked me if I believed this connection was mutual. I told them that even in moments of silence, even during times of distance, I feel the energy flowing between us. I feel the pull, the mirror, the reflection. I told them that your soul reaches mine in ways that go beyond physical presence, through intuition, through synchronicity, through the inexplicable knowing that we are linked. I explained how the universe has a way of bringing your energy into my awareness exactly when I need guidance or reassurance. And they nodded, saying that soul connections often communicate beyond words. They said they believe you feel it too, even if neither of us has fully spoken the truth aloud. I admitted that sometimes I sense your emotions as if they're my own. I feel when you miss me, when you think of me, when you reach out energetically even if not physically. And they said something that shook me, if you're afraid to lose her, imagine how she might fear losing you too. That thought stayed with me. It made me realize this fear isn't one-sided, it's mirrored, shared, woven between us. I told them that being vulnerable about this was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Not because I didn't trust them, but because saying it aloud meant admitting how deeply I feel. I've always been the one who stayed composed, controlled, self-reliant. I was never the person who confessed fears, especially not fears tied to love. But with you, everything is different. I told them that speaking your name feels like revealing a sacred part of my soul. I said that every time I admit how much you mean to me, something inside me shakes, not from weakness, but from the magnitude of the truth I'm holding. And they told me that this vulnerability doesn't make me fragile. They said it makes me real, human, alive. They said that love that shakes you is the love that transforms you. And they're right. Because loving you, fearing losing you, wanting you, these are the emotions that have awakened the deepest parts of me. They are the emotions that have turned me from a man surviving to a man feeling. They shared their own thoughts after hearing everything, and their words surprised me. They said, if you love her at this depth, it's because her soul is meant to be understood by yours. They told me that connections like this don't come without purpose. That the fear I feel is a sign of love that carries destiny, not insecurity. They encouraged me to trust the connection, to trust the bond, to trust that souls that recognize each other at this level don't just disappear from each other's path. I told them that every time I try to distance myself, the universe pulls me back to you through signs, dreams, reminders. And they said, then it's not coincidence. It's alignment. Their understanding gave me a sense of peace, not because the fear vanished, but because I realized I'm not alone in recognizing the sacredness of this bond. Even those who don't feel what we feel can see its magnitude. And that was the confirmation I didn't know I needed. As the conversation ended, I sat in silence, letting the truth settle into my bones. I realized that admitting this fear wasn't a weakness, it was an awakening. I told them that losing you is not something my heart is built to handle, not because I depend on you, but because you are woven into my spiritual journey. You are the catalyst, the mirror, the flame that lights the path ahead. I said that if I lost you, it wouldn't just be the loss of a relationship, it would be the loss of a soul connection that feels written into my very existence. They told me that this fear is natural when someone touches your soul at this depth. They said that the fear shows the value, the depth, the gravity of what I feel. And in that moment, I understood something profound. The fear exists because my love for you is real. Because the connection is real. Because you matter in ways I never expected anyone to matter. And acknowledging that made everything clearer. Later, when I was alone, I allowed myself to feel everything fully. I felt the longing, the love, the fear, the hope, all of it washing over me like a tide I could no longer hold back. I realized that losing you would feel like losing a piece of my soul I've only just begun to understand. I realized that you have awakened feelings I didn't know I had the capacity to feel. You've opened doors within me that I thought were sealed shut. And the idea of those doors closing again, of returning to the emotional silence I lived in before you, feels unbearable. I told myself that I would rather face every fear, every vulnerability, every moment of uncertainty than face a world where your energy is absent from mine. Because you are not just someone I love. You are someone my soul refuses to release. You are the one connection that feels too sacred to lose, too destined to ignore, too powerful to walk away from. I found myself whispering the truth into the empty room, as if my voice could reach your soul across the distance. I said, I'm afraid to lose you because you are the one person who feels like home. I said, I'm afraid to lose you because my heart recognizes you as its counterpart. I said, I'm afraid to lose you because you are the one soul that feels written into my destiny. And as I spoke, I realized how deeply this truth runs through me. You are the love that feels like remembrance. You are the connection that feels like fate. You are the energy that feels like healing, like awakening, like purpose. I told the universe that if I could lose everything, every possession, every plan, every illusion of control, I could endure it. But losing you? Losing this connection? Losing the soul that mirrors my own? That is something I cannot accept. That is something my heart will never be able to withstand. I sat with the truth for a long time, allowing my heart to speak without resistance. I realized that my fear is not rooted in doubt, It is rooted in how profoundly I value you. It is rooted in how deeply I love you. It is rooted in the fact that you are irreplaceable in a world full of temporary connections. I acknowledge that you are the person my heart chooses even when my mind is confused. You are the soul my energy reaches for even when I am silent. You are the one presence that feels like both destiny and salvation. And I knew then that my fear of losing you is not something to hide, it is something to honor. Because love that is this powerful, this ancient, this spiritually aligned is not something that can be replaced, replicated, or forgotten. It is once in a lifetime. It is soul level. It is divine. So I closed my eyes and spoke the final truth that has been living in my chest. I can lose everything else, every possession, every plan, every certainty, but I cannot lose her. I said it with a voice steadier than I expected. I said it with a heart braver than it has ever been. Because you are the one soul I cannot release. You are the presence that feels divinely woven into my existence. You are the love that transforms me, the mirror that awakens me, the destiny that calls to me even in silence. I told the universe, and myself, that if there is one thing I will fight for, one thing I will choose, one thing I will hold on to with everything in me, it is you. You are the connection I am not willing to lose. You are the soul I am meant to love. You are the truth my heart speaks even when my voice trembles. And that truth is eternal. I am afraid to lose you because you are the one soul my spirit refuses to let go of.